Kurtis Minder. I'm the CEO of GroupSense and the author of Cyber Recon. You are probably here because you clicked on one of the QR codes. Would you stop clicking on things, for God's sakes? Stop it. What are you doing? Welcome to the YouTube interview. As you know, in my book, you probably know, in my book, I'm profiling people that I respect and admire, or I feel are making a major contribution to the industry. And today I have with me Jason Ingalls. Hey, Jason, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Kurtis. Glad to be here, man.
Yeah, no, it's an honor. And I'm starting to sound like a real interviewer, right? I'm like, that sounded very official. So obviously, one of the reasons I picked you to profile you is, I think you've made sort of meaningful strides to maturing and perfecting the response and MDR side of the business. And you and I have worked on some stuff together, especially educating lawmakers and things like that. And I couldn't leave you out for sure. You're such a big part of the story. Can you tell
Man, I'm honored,
tell the
honored,
listeners a
honored
little
that
bit
you
about
choose.
yourself?
Yeah, certainly. I like to tell everybody that I got real lucky to get to do what I wound up doing as a career. I'm from a little place called Hicks, Louisiana, and don't feel bad if you don't know where that's at. Most folks don't. But graduated from Hicks High School. I told my wife that. She's like, "Yeah, me too." I said, "No, I've got the Letterman jacket that says Hicks High School." I got
So
real
why do you have
lucky.
an Irish accent?
Yeah, it's just one of them things. I got lucky because I wound up going. I was supposed to fly fighters, and it turns out I couldn't see. But my wife went to med school, and I moved with her to a city that had a job opening for a Microsoft certified systems engineer that wound up working on the fighter jet that I was going to fly, the F-22 Raptor, and I learned cybersecurity doing that, and worked at General Dynamics for about 9 years, and left and started my own business after my wife became a practicing physician and brought to bear the cyber stuff, the cyber engineering that I learned working the Raptor for the commercial industry. And then, Curtis, I think you and I met sometime in the mid 2010s. We're doing stuff pro bono. This was after the election cybersecurity kerfuffle when everybody was trying to figure out what was cybersecurity, and we were trying to educate secretaries of state. And I think we met at a conference where we were just trying to, bring some information about what cybersecurity was, what hackers did, and how ransomware worked, and all that other stuff to secretaries of state. And
I remember that. And I just want to talk about that conference real quick. The first time I ever went to that conference, somebody said I think it was the NAS conference, right? It was like the National Association of Secretaries. I was like, okay, so that's a conference where a bunch of the people who work in the Secretary of State's office go, which some of them do, but it's also the actual secretaries of state that attend this conference, which blew my mind. At the first one I went to, I think I had a booth and I was talking about ransomware negotiation, and these gentlemen would walk over to me and they'd ask me some questions, and I'd say, okay, and who are you? It's like the Secretary of State of Maryland. I'm like,
yeah,
but I mean,
yeah,
but also that's where we met, and I really admired the mission of these people need to understand this landscape and the mechanics of it, and it's an art form too to be able to take something this sort of, first of all, it's got a lot of history and a lot of context and a lot of baggage to it, and
yeah.
deliver it in a concise way to a non-technical person, right? And also working in some of the policy elements, which I think you've done a really good job of.
Thanks, man. Well, these folks have a tough job. They're elected, first of all, and second, cyber security is something that take very seriously, even back before anybody else knew that, and they got sort of lambasted unfairly, in my opinion. And so, what we were doing there was really just helping them understand all the other things that went along with cyber. Like, they understood the control requirements, they understood the risk management angle, but they didn't understand what the public saw, what the public got, right? What the public was suddenly worried about, because they saw it from a lens that the public certainly didn't get to see.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a good point, is that, as a public figure, whether you're an elected official or just a general public figure, sometimes you lose sight of the fact that the general public isn't as nuanced in what you're in as so when for example, we're talking about the election machines, people hear election hacking and they make a bunch of broad assumptions about what that means and what that is and how those things are run, and it's very complicated, and there's a lot of systems already in place. And I remember the DEF CON kind of You called it a kerfuffle, I guess. And that happened, before the conference we went to, and I remember them, just being able to represent the cybersecurity community as, hey, look, there are a lot of different people in this industry that are researchers and contributors, and not all of them are trying to prove how smart they are just to get, clicks. And I'm not saying that's what the DEF CON guys were doing, but that is the impression that a lot of these people had of the research community, right?
Yeah, and we worked together on a couple of those, more than a couple of those conferences, and just finding the folks in the community that were willing to step up and go, "Hey, let us help, let us be part of a solution."
Right.
It's something I'll treasure. Being able to walk around like a VIP with the real VIPs and show them the election village and show them all the other villages and kind of walk them through like what it's like to hack a car. Those are great experiences.
Yeah, and we did that at DEF CON last year. You actually let me come along. You were running it, but I got to come along and
Just a
help out.
guide, more like a Sherpa, really.
Exactly. In DEF CON, they definitely need that, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy, chaotic place, and definitely a subculture. And a lot of these folks are kind of showing up for the first time and trying to figure out like what's up and what's down because it's just such an experience if you've never been.
And definitely has changed over the years, too. So,
Sure.
years ago when there were 5,000 people, not
Yeah.
45 or whatever
Yeah.
it was this time. Well, can you tell us a little bit about like what you do now? What's your job like now?
Yeah, so I am now the chief cybersecurity officer at C3. I'm still very much attached to the company that I founded, which is Ingalls Information Security. But we merged a good chunk of it with C3 Integrated Solutions about a year and a half ago. One of the interesting things about what I did as I founded and grew Ingalls is we really focused hard on breach response. And you really just never know what client you're going to get next. Like, is it going to be a school system? Is it going to be a law firm? Is it going to be a state agency or just a small mom and pop CPA firm? You just never know which
Right.
lawyer is going to call you and who their client's going to be. So we really didn't have much in the way of like an industry vertical that we focused on. We just, if you were breached, we'd show up, clean up the mess, and make sure it didn't happen again, and then explain it to the lawyers so that they could figure out what you needed to do to comply with the legal requirement.
Right.
Obviously, we worked together a good bit on that kind of stuff. And then about a year and a half ago, we decided to get really deep in one industry, and that was the defense industrial base. We decided that it was important to us to partner up with a firm that had actually gotten a head start on the cybersecurity maturity model certification. And so we
Yeah.
merged with C3. Yeah, CMMC is going to be a big deal over the next few years, and we wanted to take part in that. And we're very fortunate that we partnered up with C3. But Ingalls is still a defense contractor, as well as providing several other services for other clients. Most of our commercial folks are now being served by C3. But anyway, I spend my days running both of those operations with a lot of help from a great team.
I'm glad you're keeping part of the Ingalls operation in place. I really like what you built there. I wasn't crazy about the name, but I'm just kidding. The
Yeah.
team is the team is amazing. And if people on the YouTube channel aren't picking up on this, Jason is an amazing leader and surprisingly humble. That was one of the things that, like, the first time we met, I was like, for a guy that's like, chaperoning secretaries of state around, he sure is approachable and helpful. And I think that culture that you built in Ingalls, I saw that in other team members that you're like Cyrus. What a great guy. One of the smartest guys I probably know. Super humble and it's amazing. It's amazing culture you built, and hopefully you can hang on to that at C3 as well.
It's all about the people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really about the people that are doing the job every day, and we got some really good ones. Matter of fact, Cyrus was just in Vegas last week, beating all but two of the 50 some odd teams that were part of hack the box, capture the flag exercise out there. He had something like 50 teams. He showed they let him in 5 hours after a few other teams. He and his partner still managed to come in third, tied for second.
Yeah.
So great, really smart bunch of people, and
Right.
very lucky to be working with them.
Great. And I'm guessing that your job isn't your entire life. I mean, tell me a little bit about like what's your life about? What's your mission?
Thanks, man. Yeah, really appreciate the ask there. As I said, I got lucky to do what I do, and made it a mission just a few years into the startup of Ingalls to try to help other people do what I do, specifically where I'm from, not because they get lucky, but just because they're from here. So, we partner with a bunch of local colleges to build an internship program, and our SOC has an internship program where folks can get an entry level job, for a few months and understand what it's really like to be part of the good guys who are defending corporate and state and local
Awesome.
education institutions. When I'm not doing that stuff, I am, not really raising much in the way of kids anymore because they're all out of the house. We're empty nesters a little early than we thought we would be, but we have three kids and really proud of what they've done. Our youngest is a concert pianist and is at a boarding school now. So,
Crazy.
you know,
Concert
when I'm
appearance.
not doing that stuff, I'm generally hunting or doing something outdoors, just to get out of the office.
I also am picking up on a theme, is you seem to have a knack for taking, what we do and translating it to others in a meaningful way. And that's rare because, especially people who are as technical as you are, and that's probably not apparent to the YouTube people, but this guy's like, while we're not on this, he's writing code to like do drone detection and stuff. Like, so you're a very technical person, a leader, and you're good at explaining this stuff to other humans, which is rare.
Well, it's a gift that I look forward to helping other people learn how to do as well. I mean, it's something that first of all, there's just not enough of us, and there's never gonna be enough people in cyber. If
Right.
you look at the need out there, and you look at the adversaries that are out there, playing a cat and mouse game against I say our, I'm talking about the United States. We're super
Right.
focused on American business, but certainly our allies as well are in the same predicament where there are adversaries, and it's an asymmetric game where
Right.
a kid with a $200 Dell laptop that's missing a few keys can still make $1 million by finding the cracks in the risk management controls for very large corporations. And I've been witness to that. I've interviewed people like that,
Yep.
that have just, all they've got to do is get lucky once, and the good guys have got to be good all the time, or bad things happen. So anyway, it's fun to help people get into this industry and be part of the solution to those kinds of problems.
Yeah, oh, and just even the awareness I think is important. People don't understand. Again, the book is really about explaining to cyber leaders or would-be cyber practitioners that there's a whole industry that is basically a privatized version of human espionage. Uh, and tying to what you were just talking about is, we've got these folks monitoring all these conversations on Telegram channels and
Mhm.
stuff like that, and the amount of US government data that we see traded there, top secret documents and things like that. And you look at the investment that we make in in our defense and weapons systems. And actually, a comment I made to a colleague of mine that's at the Pentagon one time, I said, it's a shame to me that we'll spend $1 trillion making one of the most advanced fighter aircrafts in the world, and our adversary will bring it down with their iPhone. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and and the awareness of how important and fundamental of what we do is to the world is a lot of people don't realize it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an asymmetric situation where the advantage is to the attacker. That's just cyberspace in general. Like the defenders have to maintain a certain position. They have to maintain a certain posture. They have to enable people to use the technology to achieve their objectives. And the adversary gets to watch how they do that, and then identify ways to disrupt it or monetize their access to it, and then execute. It's something that exists in very few other domains. Air warfare is a good example. And when we first started doing breach response, it was really exciting to me because this felt like a fight. This felt like something
Right.
I was built to fly fighter jets and always wanted to go fly fighters. And I studied that
Right.
deeply, and everything that I studied about World War II, World War One, and all the fights after that, air warfare was certainly something that the advantage went to the aggressor. And so, if you look at fighter pilot doctrine, aggressive behavior was something that they trained into the fighter corps. And cyberspace works a lot like that.
Wow. No, that's a great metaphor for it. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for taking time and helping us translate some of this to the general public and being a cameo in my book is, of course, as well. I appreciate you letting me do
My
that.
pleasure, my honor, man. Thank you.
If you haven't read the book, if you come across this some other way, the book is Cyber Recon. You can get it at Barnes& Noble. You can get it on Amazon or your local bookstore. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you.